Hi, good afternoon lecturers. My name is Ying Yong. You can call me YY. I'm going to present you my Studio 4 project. Okay, let's start with my site visit which is at Terengganu. As you can see, this is all activities that held in Terengganu. There are traditional boat making, wood carving, handmade windows pattern, and there's a lot of houses in Terengganu which is roofed like this way. And these are all the examples that I find it might be useful for future development in that state. So, I chose to develop in wood grain for my project 2A. These are types of wood grain that I look into. And from the wood grain, I kind of make it with the model making to study its flows and its patterns. And from the model, I extract into the sketches and then slowly form the patterns from the wood grains. And after I get a shape from the patterns, I refine it from the wood grain characteristic, which is the continuous line from the wood grain. And also try with the scale. So this is all the tryout models that you can see they are having all the characteristic which is the flow of grain. They are in continuous flowing. And this will be my final model which is made of steel. This is scale 1 to 5 and this is scale 1 to 50. Continue with my case study, Pierce Wife building by the famous architecture Zaha Hadid. The idea of this building is actually a tree trunk laid horizontally, which is kind of relate back to my children's craft which is wood grain. And I would like to highlight this special intention from Zaha Hadid, which is the material actually articulate the direction to the various spaces. And for the exterior patterns, it actually brings into the interior spaces such as the column, the doors, and the ceilings, and so on. Okay, the above are all the design intention that I would like to bring into my project 2 design, which is located at Terengganu, Pura Tanjung Satu. And this Google app is actually to show where Pura Tanjung Satu is actually at, and we are required to build a 800 meter square building, cultural center at this area. So this is my simple bubble diagram that showing the spaces I have is auditorium, sales gallery, DIY classroom lobby, and so on. And you can see the main activity I having in my cultural center is wood carving. And in this building, you can see there are majority green, which is public spaces that can allow visitor to linger around the building. Then from the bubble diagram, I slowly develop into the building form, which this building form is actually creating the welcoming language to the land visitor and also the visitor that came by boat. And as I mentioned just now, the main activity of the cultural center is wood carving, which is located in the middle. And I separate into two is due to there's clean area and dusty area while you're doing the wood carving. Then okay, this void area I will explain later in the plan. Okay, yeah, so this is slowly formed from the form to the rough floor plan. Okay, so this is the form that I mentioned just now, which is the welcoming language of the building. So it's actually a volume required by a space which is rectangular, and it's only formed to a C configuration which can open up the surface to the river. Then I optimize the square corners by curving it, and of course the curvy part have to be transparent to open up the view to the river. And the black part that I make it solid is because to avoid the distraction between each spaces. Okay, so this is my site plan that I would like to highlight three main entrances. The first one, the drop-by area. Second one is the car park area that people park here, they can traveling to the building from this alley. Then the third one is for the visitor that came by boat. Okay, so the zoom in area of entrance 1, entrance 2, and 3. So this is actually to measure the distance between the river and the midpoint of the building. See, it will take how long to walk from river to building. And analysis show that the furthest one is 114 meter, which only take around 2 to 3 minutes walking distance. So it's okay for them to walk from the river to the building. Because in the meanwhile they walking, they can enjoy the building from the small scale to the bigger scale. Next will be the ground floor plan with site, to show how I connect the Pura Tanjung Satu to my building. And I will have the zoom in one at the next slide. Before I go into the ground floor plan of my building, I have to mention that the entrance is actually at the first floor. So people will come down from the first floor through this stair and linger around at these spaces. People can chat here and sit here or chilling at this area. In the middle, the pond is actually reflect the studio at the first floor. and those dotted line are actually the spaces above. And for the bench at the floor plan, as you can see, there's a reflection of the language of my skin type, so it's a bit curvy and continuous. So yeah, for ground floor there are no any enclosed spaces, they are all open space for people to linger around. Now let's continue with the first floor plan with site. As I mentioned just now, the first floor will be the resort, which having 6 rooms and a lounge in the middle. The lounge in the middle allow people to walk through here and view the building, and they might take picture with the building at there with a smaller scale. And yeah, so there could be just a chilling space for them too. Now let's see how it links to the building. From this floor plan you can see there are 3 stairs here, which allow people from parking area, the drop-by area and the river area to reach the building. It seems a bit small. Okay, now let's zoom into the first floor plan with the furniture. Yeah, as I mentioned just now, they all came by 3 directions, but they all have to pass through the ticketing booth, which is in the middle. It's a free entrance, but we have to register at the ticketing booth before we go into the building. Now, before we get into the building, I would like to mention back about the case study of Zaha Hadid, which the form is actually articulate people the direction to the building, to each area of my building. So I kind of apply some concept that can articulate people from spaces to spaces. Okay, then start the building tour. People getting from this direction, they will see the activity inside through this transparent glass. Then slowly the floor plan will bring the direction to this auditorium hall. Okay, purpose to bring them into the auditorium first is because it's gonna play a creative advertising video that is gonna lead up their interest in wood carving stuff. And then after the video played, they will straight go to the sales gallery. And as in this moment, they are having more hyperactive minded, or can say they are more interest in wood carving because just seen the advertising video. So they are having more chances to spend money at the sales gallery. By that can bring up the economy at that place too. Then after they come out from the sales gallery, I place the toilet here is because after these 2 activities, they might have something to release, so I place it here for them convenience to go. And after that, they can just linger it around the wood carving area. Then this middle thing is actually to make the flow for them to go DIY classroom. Yeah, so the main function is to make the whole building a free flow that can allow them to linger around. And the best view of the building is here, which is facing the river, and people can linger around here. This is the free up area, which is the open space, and there's a partial roof covering, and this will be the stair to link to ground floor, which we seen just now at the ground floor plan. And let's kind of explain the layout of the toilet. The reason why I placed the basin outside is because wood carving studio and DIY classroom are some dusty work, which after you experience it, you have to clean up yourself. So I placed the basin outside is because people that want to clean up yourself doesn't mean they need to go to the toilet. So I place it outside for people, for visitors' convenience to clean up themselves. Also, as you can see, there are quite open up area for the toilet. So I placed the barrier here to avoid the eye seeing angle from outside to inside. And yeah, for the furnitures, as you can see, they are all reflects the building shapes and the language of the skin study, which I learned from the Zaha Hadid case study. What from the outside you can see of the building must bring into the inside. So I kind of apply and create the feeling of harmonizing between the exterior and into the interior. Now let's get into our elevation drawings. Okay, as you can see, this is the front elevation, which having the squarish and triangle shape in front and the curvy shape of building behind the PTS, Pura Tanjung Sabtu, which is also one of the intention that I wanted to bring it for the people there and also visitors, that a traditional house slowly faded into the modern style of the building. And at the below will be the right elevation, which you can see the drop-by area is here. Then people will go into the building and straight away from an old traditional house slowly faded into the modern building style of the architectures. Yeah, so this is the opening view that I mentioned just now. For people from the river can see what's happening inside the building, and also from people inside can look at the river in different angle from different spaces. So yeah, sales gallery are only one of the example for the other spaces that are facing the river, because other spaces are all having this amazing view to the river from the curvy surface of wall. Now let's get to the back elevation. So the auditorium is the only totally enclosed place in the whole area to brings up the experience for visitors which are watching the marketing advertisement inside the auditorium. And I also apply the skin language at the facade of my building, which I mentioned just now at the first floor plan. The facade is actually bringing and articulate people from spaces to spaces. Next will be the section drawings. Okay, to make it clear, so the section access is cut from here to here and section Y is cut here to here. As you can see, people go up from ground floor to the second floor and pass through the ticketing area and reach the wood carving studio in the middle and the DIY area. And this is the one that I mentioned just now, the best view of the building with the partial roof in the middle, so people from here can straight away view the river, people from boat, and linger around here and take picture at here. And in the section 1 you can see the auditorium is actually from the second floor until the ground floor due to the leveling. So as you can see, people are enjoying the free flowing which linger around at the first floor and also the ground floor. Because the building is actually mostly public, so they are having their freedom to go around any spaces and experience everything in the building. Okay, here goes my ergonomic to prove that all the spaces in the building is actually fit and walkable. Forms. Okay, so this is some design intention when I designed the floor plan, the building. So for the blue color highlighted area is actually the transparent wall. So people from the river, they pass by the river, they can actually see what is happening in this building, what is happening at here. And this gray color area is actually the solid wall to make it solid, so people from this area won't affect by this area. And for the sun orientation consideration, due to the sunrise and sunset having the strong penetration to the working studio, so by having the skin facade as my vertical louvers, can reduce the penetration from the sunlight to the spaces. Lastly, this is my photo montage for some conceptual and activity that will help in my building. So as you can see, people came by boat and walked to the building. There are ports for boat to park, and people from the parking area also can link to the building, auditorium, and the spaces that can linger around, and some activities. Basically, these are all the intention and point that I'm trying to highlight and apply to my building. So that's all. Thank you for having your time. Thank you very much. Thank you.